Welcome back to another Max and Fix video. Today we're going to be talking about the new Mac Studio. Before we jump into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and be part of the game so you don't miss another awesome review. Okay, so the Mac Studio is in a lane of its own and it's made a name for itself amongst professionals without having the suffix Pro attached anywhere in its name. It was specifically designed for creators such as video editors, photographers, and audio engineers. You know, it's really for the people who need that power behind their name. The Mac Studio is available in two models listed for two contrasting prices. The first model is priced at $2,000. For this price, you get a 10-core CPU, 24-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. And the chipset that's powering this machine is the all-new M1 chipset, the M1 Max. The second model runs for $4,000. This model is highly upgraded compared to the base. With this one, you get a 20-core CPU, 48-core GPU, and a 32-core neural engine. But the chip that's powering this model is different. Yes, it's from the same new M1 chipset, but this one is the M1 Ultra, which is more powerful than the M1 Max, obviously. Other companies such as AMD and Nvidia have trailblazed these grounds before with dual GPU cards in the past, but the M1 Ultra isn't just GPU. The M1 Ultra provides twice the GPU cores, CPU cores, and twice the memory bandwidth. And to paint the difference, Apple claims that the M1 Ultra will outperform Nvidia's RTX 3090 while using 200 fewer watts of power. Let me know down in the comments if you guys agree with that. Do you guys think the M1 Ultra is going to outpower Nvidia, or do you think the M1 Ultra is just overly hyped and it's not really that good of a processor? Okay, so we can all agree that these price points are really high, but for $2,000, the deeper specs aren't that bad. You're getting 32 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, which is half a terabyte of storage, 2 USB-C ports, a SD card slot, 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, 2 regular USB ports, an HDMI port, and most importantly, a 10 gigabit Ethernet port when it comes down to gaming. And of course, a headphone jack. Now, you can go crazy on the upgrades for these models, but you can turn the base studio into your supercomputer of your dreams. But we'll get into that in a bit. Let's touch on the studio priced at $4,000. Regarding the ports, you're getting the same setup. The only difference is that, of course, RAM and storage, besides of the other specs that we spoke about earlier, but you get 64 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of storage, and again, the same port setup as the base model. So we know that every time Apple releases a new product, we can get crazy with the upgrades. So we already touched on the base model version and the upgraded base model version, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna just run through these other upgraded specs and their price points just so we can get a gist of what we can get. For the next level up on the M1 Max chip, you get a 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine, priced at an extra $200. Now that's just for the next level on the M1 Max chipset. For the next level M1 Ultra chipset, you get 20-core CPU, 64-core GPU, and a 32-core neural engine, priced for an extra $2,400. Now, that price point right there, Apple's having you guys pay rent, pay car note, down payments on cars. That's crazy. These price points outrageous. It's like gas prices are high, Apple's high, food, everything's high right now. Like, I'm speaking for I'm speaking for everybody. Apple, please lower y'all price points. I know inflation's through the roof right now, but please come down on these prices. I know that iPhone 14 is about to be a whole car note. I already know it. Now that we touched on the chipset upgrades, we're going to take a look at the storage and RAM. Now for the RAM on this thing, you're getting quite of an upgrade, up to 128 gigs, but that's only if you configure your Mac Studio to come with the M1 Ultra chipset. The 128 gigs of RAM is priced for an additional $1,200. Like, oh yes, $1,200 for RAM. That's crazy. Like $1,200. Like, look at that, got me stuttering. Like that's crazy. But you can always get this 32 gigs of RAM that's standard, or you can get upgraded to the 64 gigs for $400. You think the RAM specs are crazy? With the storage, you can go up to 8 terabytes, and I'm not talking external storage. Let me know down in the comments if you know someone who needs this and what they do, because that's a crazy amount of storage. You got to be editing in 8K at 120 frames per second, or cooking up like Turbo to drop Little Baby's album of the year. But coming from half a terabyte of storage, you can get a terabyte for an extra $200, 2 terabytes for an extra $600, 4 terabytes for an extra $1,200, and the ultimate 8 terabytes for the crazy $2,400. Those price points, also car notes, Apple, you guys are asking us to pay rent with y'all. It's bad enough that we gotta pay rent with the community. You got like you be paying car notes. It's bad enough I already got a car note and my insurance is high. Like, y'all crazy. But to be honest, this would be a good buy on my end. Great price, not so much. As I said before, Apple is taxing all these prices, but you're getting what you pay for. The overall specs of the Studio is pretty good. This reminds me of a heavily upgraded Mac Mini mixed with Apple's computer tower due to the fact that it's super portable, and on top of that too, you're getting that power behind it, versus in a Mac Mini you don't really get that much of power, but it's still a good machine. Now this goes to say that I would just get a MacBook, but for the workload the Studio can handle, I'll use it for gaming. So like when it comes down to me looking in the search for a gaming computer or anything like that, I'm definitely going to be looking to the Mac Studio, just because of the fact that it has that power that's needed to, you know, withstand heavy gaming, stuff like that. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you guys think of the Mac Studio? And please comment down below if y'all need that 8 terabyte of storage. Also, let us know what you guys want to see next. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be a part of Know the Game so you don't miss another Max and Fix banger. Be sure to check out the podcast for your most up-to-date tech news. Links down in the description below. Until next time, peace.